these days, the richest people would be the widows. You find a lot of widows who are very rich, maybe after inheriting a lot from their late husbands and from the families. But in ancient Israel, the widows were considered the most vulnerable and the poorest. In fact, people would expect that you would give to the widows, not the widows giving. And so it's really a kind of a contradiction today to find a widow giving alms, because alms were meant to be given to the widows and the poor, like widows and the orphans, and God protected them so much. But I think the point of this story in the gospel, according to Luke, is that the widow expresses, complete dependence on God. That is not just depending on the things that she has, but that she's giving back all that she has and completely surrendering herself to God. And they always say, you give until it pains, then you know you have given. You give until it pains. I just want to tell you a little story an experience that I had when I was in Kenya as a student, not even as a priest. I had left my place of pastoral, and I came to Nairobi, which is a big town, for the ordination of some of our brothers who were being ordained as deacons. So we made a lot of friends and some other ex-seminarians. One of them, called John, who is an ex-seminarian, is working now in the United States, thank God. And after the ordination, I went to one of our parishes, which is just on the outskirts of the town, because I was to celebrate Mass there the next day, which was a Sunday. And then I go back to my parish by night bus, about 11 hours journey by night. So when I went to that parish, in that evening after the ordination, then I got a call at about 12 midnight from another seminarian who is now a priest. Father Emmanuel is one of the formators working in India. And he told me one of the ex-seminarians had just been attacked by armed robbers. And they hit him very badly. He had a very terrible accident because they hit him he almost lost one of his eyes because they hit him with a rock, with a stone. And that they had gone to the hospital, they rushed him to the hospital, but they even had no money for consultation. There was nothing that they had. You had to pay for everything. And he asked me if I had some money to help them with. And we had something like Gcash. In Kenya it's called M-Pesa. And I had about 2,500 shillings, which is about 1,000 here. And I decided to send that to Emmanuel. And then that night, I could not sleep because I had an account at that time, and in my accounts I had something like 10,000 pesos, which is about 5,000. That was all I had to live on, but that was all that I had. That was all. If you killed me that time, then I would say that is all that I had as a seminarian. But that night I had a very strange experience, because there was something telling me that, that money, what if they consult and they need medicine? Where are they going to get money from? Get all that money and send to him. I refused to listen to that voice completely. This is all that I had. So the next day I got up and I went for Mass, and my spirit was really downcasted. I could not really feel myself because my conscience was really disturbing me, and my peace was totally taken away. I went for Mass that day. I could not even speak very well and all that. So when I came out after Mass, and then I thought, maybe if I continue disobeying this voice, I might never have peace again. So what I did, painfully, not happily, painfully, I sent all that money. I sent it to him painfully, and I did not know what I would do because that was all that I had. So I sent it to him. He did not actually acknowledge. I remember that. He did not acknowledge whether he had seen it or not. that added again to the pain, because at least I would have expected him to say, "Oh, thank you very much, Father. That was very good. Actually, we needed this money and all." But he did not even acknowledge. So that added to the pain. And that afternoon, I was supposed to go for half mass. There was somebody who invited. Sorry, actually, I was a priest already. It was not a I was a priest already. I was supposed to have mass that afternoon. It was a Nigerian who had invited me to say mass, a Thanksgiving mass for his mother, who was sick and was getting better. So that afternoon, I was still very angry, not angry, but so much in pain because I'd lost everything. I considered that as a loss. But I had at least obeyed the voice of God that was speaking to me that afternoon, that morning. And when I was going for that mass, I decided to call Emmanuel to find out how John was doing. And Emmanuel said, in fact, they had been discharged. They got some medication and they had been discharged. Then I told him I was heading for mass somewhere. And then he told me, he was still a seminarian that time, he told me, can he join me because he had not attended mass that day? And I said, oh, yeah, fine, that will be okay. At least I'll be able to catch up with him. So we went for this mass, and after this mass, during the time of, it was just a family mass actually, it was just a family. And this man gave me an envelope. It was very thin. I had lost more than that. I had lost 10,000. Nothing could be there more than 10,000. It's nothing compared to what I'd lost. So I took that and I put in my Bible, and after mass, Emmanuel told me, you sent money, but we did not use everything. Do you want it back? Do you want some of that money back? Now this was a big temptation. I told him, no, I had given that money. I don't want to take it again. But please, could you give me 2,000 out of that? Yeah, my mind was still there. And he said, oh, fine, I would. So you give me 2,000 and give the rest back to that man. It is his money that is it. Because I was thinking I did not even have transport. In case something happened on the way, I would not even have money to eat or something. Now, when I arrived home, I did not even care to look at the envelope. It was only in the evening when I was about to leave, and I checked the envelope, and it was $1,000. $1,000, 10 times what I had given. And I was so confused because that was the first time I ever received money like that. I've never had money like that in my life. So I decided to call him, and I thought maybe this was a mistake. So I called the man who had invited me for mass, and I told him, sir, there is a little bit of mix-up here. Maybe this envelope was supposed to be for your company or something, but no, he said, no, it's not a mistake. I had promised God actually that if my mother gets healed, any priest who is going to celebrate mass, I will give him $1,000. And I happens to be that priest that had come. And then that it dawned on me that, at times when you obey the voice of God and you give, He always gets a way of paying you back. I have many stories about giving, but I just want to relate again to the story of the widow who gave everything from her heart, joyfully. Me, I still gave painfully, and God still gave me back. So just to say that we do not lose when we give. When we give, in fact, God is going to repay us. And giving is an act of faith, because it tells God, no, God, I do not just really depend on what I have. I depend on you for everything. And once we give, God always provides for us, because He promised us that even if He looks after the birds of the air and the flowers in the field, how much more is He going to look after us, of whom He created in His own image and likeness? My dear brothers and sisters, the widow in the gospel today teaches us to give from the heart, even if it means that we are giving everything and, depending on God at all times. Once we give from our hearts, when we give everything that we have from our heart with joy, as he says in his words that he loves a cheerful giver, he would always provide for us and he would never let us go hungry.